Hey, it's Chellina Achol, the Sudani mommy. For today's video, we're going to be doing Fulani braids, layered braids, a little feed-in braids, whatever you want to call them. These tribal braids that you see here. I have a hair page on my Instagram dedicated to hair content only, Chill Styles. I'll have it linked down below if you want to go check it out. And also, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the fam. We're almost. The road to 1K is coming. This is a great back-to-school hairstyle idea. It feels like you have like the bust-down middle part effect without it. It's like a tribal braid in West Africa, but all of Africa. Worldwide now, the style's gotten really popular. First things first I did was divide the hair into 3 sections. Some people do it in like 2 sections, doing it in 3 like layers from top to bottom. The top layer will be like the crown, around the crown of the head, and the second part will be from like ear to ear, the middle portion, and the bottom portion is the nape of the neck, or like the kitchen part of your head. I am going into making sure my parts are nice and crisp using some jam. If you don't need a product to be able to make smooth parts, more power to you. Also, having like a really sharp comb helps too. I got these combs from Amazon. I'll also have these combs linked down below. And here I am just sectioning off the bottom portion. I'm sorry if I'm in the frame at all and it makes it hard to see with my body or hands get in the way. I show a lot of the same parts over and over again, hoping that helps you be able to see it. So after sectioning off the bottom part, her hair was blow dried out, so that did help a lot. Whatever your preference is, if you're doing this yourself, it might help if you have like those trifold mirrors, or if you're doing it on a client, just being able to be patient, have good combs. So the thing about these Fulani braids or tribal braids is that they are like lemonade feed-in braids. So I start off with like really small portions at the beginning, and then I add another piece of hair. They're all really small, so it's subtle, you can't really tell. And I tuck that underneath. I just continue braiding with that. One side of the braid goes on the left side and the other side goes on the right side. You see here, so it just tucks in underneath, and just keep braiding. For each braid, they have about 3 pieces that I feed into it. The first piece is like the smallest, and the rest of them are like medium. They're not like terribly small, but they are kind of small. I eyeball them to make sure like the parts are similar. I take them out and set them on the chair beforehand. They're all pretty small or medium. And if her natural hair is ever finer in certain areas, then I'll end up using more of the braiding hair. And if it's like vice versa, like the middle of her head is really thick, I don't need as much braiding hair, so I wouldn't use that. Here I'm going to give you a close-up version of it. As you can see, the very first is small. I do a couple rotations through, like loops when you're braiding, just so it's like firm, and then I grab the small piece of braiding hair, tuck it underneath, and I put it pinched through where I have my fingers, and then just keep braiding. I do like 2 loops and then grab another piece, so you can see here. I don't know if I'm the best at like finding the words to explain this, but I'm hoping that this visual does help you out a lot. When it comes to feed-in braids, it's always go underneath. Where the braid comes in is where that pinch is, and you put one braid on that far right side, and then you put the other one on the opposite side. I hope that describes the feed-in braids well, and use the braid next to it to be able to tell if I need more or less hair. As you can tell, I think you're going to see me take off one of the braids because it got too big. This hairstyle wasn't too hard. It was just time consuming. It is nice because I think it's less tension on your hair, and it's also looks more flat, and it gives you like that box braid knotless style without spending all that time getting box braids. For her hair, for the braiding hair we used, I'll have that link down below, and I think we used about only 1 pack. It came with like a pack of 10 bundles in it, like 10 little sections of braiding hair. Another important thing I wanted to mention is also making sure like the section of your natural hair that you're grabbing or your client's hair is relatively smaller compared to the braiding hair you use. The braiding hair will get bigger because we are using like multiple little pieces for the feed-in effect, but also just in general, having the natural hair you use be small. Just really fine, thin little pieces. All the Fulani braids are right next to each other. If you part out sections of your natural hair that are bigger, the Fulani braids are going to be further apart, and it's not going to give that sleek, like right next to your skull effect. It's not going to give that sleek effect, if that makes sense. So make sure the parts that you see, you can see the size of the parts that I'm taking. Just make sure that the parts that you do take are pretty small, really thin. if that makes sense. These are for small Fulani braids. If you wanted like bigger ones, medium or large ones, you can get more hair. The sections, the pieces of hair you get can be bigger, and also the amount of hair that you add will be bigger. It's not really that nice adding multiple pieces of hair because feed-in braids can be kind of messy, so I would just get bigger pieces of hair if that's what you want, bigger Fulani braids. But she wanted like small, fine, like flowy middle Fulani braids, tribal braids, if that makes sense. So yeah, just keep that in mind. If you notice that your parts or your braids are too far apart, the parts that you might be getting of your natural hair might be too big. The hardest part, in my opinion, is not knowing how many sections to make and the parting at the top. So I'll check back in with you guys in a little bit and describe how I did the top portion.
Funkilla.
I let it fall. My heart, and does it feel you rose to claim it? It was dark, and I was over until you kissed my lips and you saved me. My hands, they're strong, but my knees will fall too weak to stand in your arms without falling to your feet. But there's a side to you that I never knew all the things you say they will never true.
Them call it broken heart, this blessed love will never part. You don't know it from the start, but tell them say I don't see it. A Sean Paul and Sasha.
Here I started off by parting in the middle, and the part I made in the middle, I made it dead center, but I'm also making a braid that goes all the way back down the middle. That's like the tribal part, the Fulani, if you will. So just keep going, making sure you have like a really crisp part. And then I take a little bit of hair on each side, the finest, thinnest amount of hair on each side to make sure that braid is really small. And then I go ahead and braid that one. I only use, it's just one typical cornrow. Here I am just grabbing the hair on each side, the finest amount of hair, and making sure it still stays in the center. So honestly, I remember going back and forth with this part time and time again, just making sure I got the right portion, and then sectioning off the hair on both sides. After everything's all parted, I just did a traditional cornrow back in. I skipped over that part, and I braided the same pieces on the opposite side. When it comes to this side, I just made sure that each piece lined up with the piece on the opposite side. So each piece of braiding hair, clipped it away, and made sure it's the same, similar size, going back and forth. It's similar. It's still going to be the same, like 2 to 3 pieces. The front pieces I did have were a little smaller because that hair is a little more fragile, so they weren't as heavy as the rest of the hairs. So I did make the first couple a little smaller, but other than that, it's pretty much the same thing. Making sure you just line up the parting with the one on the opposite side, and it just goes all the way down from side to side. But yeah, I hope that video was helpful and you consider this for a cool back to school hairstyle. This is a nice style. It lasts a long time. It's a great protective style if you do it right. It gives you the same like knotless, bust down middle part effect with being a little, gives yourself a little original twist. At the end, I'm just going to add some jewels to it, some decorations. My favorite part was like the little rings you see on top. You'll see. Thank you for tuning into this video. I hope this was helpful. And if you have any other questions about how I styled this hair, leave your comment down below. And also, before you go, please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Just leave something. Just say hello. Say, hey, I was here. Any other hairstyles or ideas you guys would like to see on my channel, please also leave those down below too. Thanks for watching again, and please don't forget to subscribe. Love you. Bye.
Niggas want me to get ratchet. Niggas want me to attack it. Put the hood on, they're calling me Cassius. Run you like Bob Saget. Greedy, I can't pass it. Eating everything, nigga, no fasting. I don't care much you knew me in the past tense. I ain't no Julia Styles, this ain't no last dance. Way past it. Wait. Fucking on my ex cause he validate me. Fucking up a check, I don't want no receipt. Mind get possessed, let my space speak freely. Hey.
My past can't escape me. My pussy precedes me. My how the times change. I'm still playing the victim and you still playing the pick me. It's so embarrassing. All of the things I need living inside of me. I can't see it. It's so embarrassing. All of the love I see living inside of me. I can't see. I'm blind. You ain't getting your bitch back. Calm down, shit could be worse, never say that. I don't want pipe down, rather get paid back. Mama told me never see where you lay at. I don't want righteousness, I hurt too much, I lost too much, I lost too much. I hit my clutch and vroom, third day pop out the tomb. I like when you put your gun in the red light.
I'm chillin' on the west side. Ooh, call my homegirl, tell your best friend. Besides, ooh, on the low, no location. I don't want them seeing me getting faded. You should come through tonight. I only kick you with a tie. Cause they won't tell, cause they tryna live their best life too. On the low, on my own, I'll be waiting. Put me on the phone, I'll be waiting. Yeah, almost missing my flight today. I look good even though I feel shitty. I just got back out this way. You already got plans for the city. Call them off cause you call them off for me. You're always going on and on. Got it all, ask me why I never leave. I don't go out much, but you should come through tonight. I'm chillin' on the west side. Ooh, call my homegirl, tell your best friend. Besides, ooh, on the lawn.
Looking for the cash, searching for the bag. Young nigga wildin', throwing up flag. Shooters on the roof with a scope. Money back on Trisha like the Pope. Work the bunch like the Kimmy in the post. Nigga hit it with the folk. Running on the street, I'm a suspect. Hanging with the killers in the projects. They don't wanna round, keep quiet. Catch a nigga slipping from behind. OG, Bobby, Josh. OG, Bobby, Josh. OG, Bobby, Josh. OG, Bobby, Josh. That's the niggas that you trust, tell them how they turn fade. Hey, you know your boy, cause you rockin' her man. Especially if your money long, guarantee it's her. Ray, until it long, gotta watch the shirt.
see through the storm and take me as I am. Baby, it's magic and we turn it back to real. Come here, 'cause it's time. Hold you for me.